The winds howl across the jagged cliffs of the Scottish Highlands, a place of ancient legends, whispered myths, and blood-soaked battles. But beneath the stones, older than any sword or scroll, something has been waiting. Hidden in the earth, sealed in forgotten bones, a truth so ancient, so powerful, it could rewrite the entire history of Scotland. For centuries, scholars and clans believed they knew the origin of this proud land. Tales of Celtic warriors, Norse invaders, and Pictish kings painted a story carved in stone and pride. But now, a shocking discovery, buried in the DNA of a long-forgotten corpse, threatens to shatter everything we thought we knew. Not a scroll, not an artifact, but ancient genetic code, extracted from remains over 4,000 years old, preserved in silence for millennia, and now, for the first time, decoded by modern science. What they found? It doesn't match any known group in Scottish history. Not Celtic, not Norse, not even Pictish. It's older, stranger, from a people thought to have vanished before Scotland was even born. Could this be the true origin of the Scottish people? A hidden chapter lost to time. Until now, Scotland, as we know it today, is a land layered in history. From the mist-covered Isles of the Hebrides to the stone circles of Orkney, its timeline stretches back thousands of years. Historians have long believed that the foundation of Scottish identity began with the Celts around 700 BCE, followed by waves of invasions and migrations, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings. Each left a mark on the genetic and cultural tapestry. But despite countless excavations and historical records, no one could trace the very beginning. Who were the first people to shape this rugged land? In the 19th century, archaeologists uncovered Neolithic tombs and Bronze Age tools, suggesting human presence dating back over 5,000 years. But those early settlers were always thought to be primitive, unrelated to the proud clans that later ruled the Highlands. That assumption held firm for decades, until a burial site, recently unearthed in the windswept hills of Caithness, changed everything. What was supposed to be just another ancient skeleton turned out to hold a genetic fingerprint unlike any seen before in Scotland. The discovery stunned geneticists. Because this DNA didn't just predate the Celts, it pointed to a population entirely unknown to British history. Who were these people? And how did their legacy vanish so completely, only to be revealed now? It began with a storm. In the remote northern reaches of Scotland, near the cliffs of Caithness, violent winds tore through the moorland, exposing part of the earth untouched for thousands of years. Local shepherds noticed fragments of stone, strange shapes aligned in a circular pattern, unlike anything catalogued in the area. When archaeologists arrived, they expected another ceremonial site, perhaps Bronze Age, but what they found was far older and far more mysterious. Beneath layers of peat and stone, they uncovered a burial chamber, sealed in a forgotten style. The bones within twisted, weathered, but intact. The skeleton belonged to a male, roughly 40 years old, buried with no weapons or ornaments, just a single, smooth black stone clenched in his hand. No known Scottish culture practiced such burial rites. Suspicion grew. Samples were rushed to Edinburgh's genetic labs. The team expected traces of Celtic or Pictish lineage. What they found stunned them. A genetic signature never before recorded in the British Isles. It didn't match any modern Scottish genome. In fact, it resembled populations located thousands of kilometers away, in regions long considered unconnected to Scotland's early past. This was no ordinary ancestor. This man was the key to a long-lost civilization, one that science had never seen. Until now. Driven by the shocking anomaly, a multidisciplinary team assembled, archaeologists, geneticists, historians, and linguists, converging on the site now dubbed the Caithness Enigma. The first priority: authenticate the remains. Radiocarbon dating confirmed the man died over 4,500 years ago, predating the arrival of the Celts by nearly 2 millennia. DNA extraction began in ultra-clean labs, where even a stray breath could contaminate the fragile strands. The genome was sequenced, analyzed, cross-referenced with thousands of ancient samples from across Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. The results were perplexing. The closest matches came from the Caucasus Mountains, specifically an obscure Neolithic group known for building megalithic tombs and mysterious black stone artifacts. But how could a man from the Caucasus end up buried in prehistoric Scotland, thousands of kilometers and centuries away from any known contact? As the investigation deepened, linguists examined early Scottish place names and rune carvings for clues, symbols that bore eerie resemblance to those found near the Black Sea. Could there have been an undocumented migration, or even a forgotten seafaring culture that predated recorded history? As the team dug deeper into the DNA, they found something else: a genetic mutation linked to immunity traits not seen in modern Scots, but common among populations in the ancient Caucasus. This was more than an outlier. It was evidence of a missing chapter in human history. Inside the cold, humming lab of the University of Edinburgh, the final results came in, and they were nothing short of explosive. The genome of the Caithness skeleton was mapped in full, revealing a Y chromosome haplogroup that does not exist in any modern Scottish population. Instead, it aligned with a deeply ancient lineage, once found in the Highlands of the Caucasus over 6,000 years ago. But that wasn't all. Embedded within the genome was a cluster of unique mitochondrial mutations, passed down through maternal lines, never before recorded in the British Isles. These sequences formed a genetic time capsule, offering direct evidence that this individual, and likely his community, came from a forgotten migration wave predating all known Celtic or Norse settlers. Using isotope analysis of the man's teeth and bones, researchers confirmed he grew up nowhere near Scotland. His early diet and water exposure pointed to a childhood in the mountainous regions between modern-day Georgia and Armenia. That means this wasn't an isolated traveler. He had arrived as part of a group, perhaps a seafaring society that moved westward along ancient trade routes lost to time. What was once dismissed as local legend, strange stones, dark-featured warriors from the east, now gained scientific backing. The DNA didn't just hint at a forgotten people. It proved they existed, and they had set foot on Scottish soil long before recorded history began. Picture it. Over 4,500 years ago, long before the first Celtic tribes arrived, a fleet of strange boats appears on the misty horizon. Their hulls carved from dark timber, their sails stitched from animal hide, they glide silently toward the Scottish coast. On board, families, elders, builders, and priests, a lost people fleeing something, or seeking something, from the distant Caucasus. They are not conquerors. They carry no weapons of war, only tools, seeds, and sacred stones. Their journey likely took years, hopping from shore to shore across ancient maritime routes, now submerged beneath rising seas. When they land in what is now Caithness, they find a wild, unclaimed world. Dense forests, raw cliffs, untamed rivers. Here they settle. They build tombs unlike any found in Europe. They perform burial rites never seen again. They leave behind structures aligned with the stars, black ceremonial stones, and silent skeletons buried in fetal positions. But over time, their numbers dwindle. Maybe disease, maybe isolation, maybe they were absorbed by the later Neolithic tribes. Their language, their customs, vanish into the soil. But their DNA remained, hidden for millennia, locked in bone, waiting for the tools of modern science to unlock their story. And now we know. Scotland's first people may not have come from the west, as once believed, but from the distant east, sailing against time, writing the first forgotten chapter of the Scottish soul. The winds that once carried ancient voices across the sea still whisper through the Highlands, but now we hear them differently. With every gene sequenced, with every buried truth revealed, the myth of Scotland grows richer, not smaller. The proud identity of the Scots is not undone by this discovery. It is deepened, because beneath the kilts and claymores, beyond the clans and castles, lies a lineage far older than legend, a civilization that braved oceans, carried fire across continents, and left their mark in blood and bone. Today, the DNA of a long-forgotten traveler rewrites the origin story of an entire nation. It challenges what we thought we knew, and invites us to ask, how many more secrets lie buried beneath our feet? If one man's genome can shake the pillars of history, imagine what else waits in the soil, beneath the ruins, inside the bones of the nameless dead. Science has just begun to scratch the surface, and the past, it seems, is not done speaking. If this story made you see history with new eyes, like, subscribe, and explore more mysteries with us. Because sometimes the truth isn't written in books. It's written in our DNA,